This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Welcome, everyone. John Solberg here. You know I'm the host for the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. And if you don't know, I'm going to tell you right now that this show is brought to you by Green Mountain Grills. And for 17 years, Green Mountain Grills has brought the smoke to the competition scene in the backyards all over the world. Their Venturi-style firebox delivers the cleanest 150-degree smoke in the pellet game. Their newly redesigned 2025 Prime 2.0 grills blend the proven technology of the past with the technology of the future. Green Mountain Grills is the original innovator of all things Wi-Fi and continues to give the users granular options to control your grills in any environment from anywhere. Green Mountain Grill also leads the pack in accessories. From their pizza oven attachments that deliver pizzas in 2 minutes, they got rotisseries, they got add-on side burners. Check all that out and more over at greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. Let's take a jump back to September 23rd, 2008 for the very first show of the next 400 episodes.
All right, as promised, joining me right now is a guy who single-handedly took home I'm sure he had other teammates that would probably chastise me for saying this, but won the single biggest payout at a barbecue competition in the Northwest. I am, of course, talking about Bob Beeman of Gold's Barbecue. Bob, thanks for taking the time out tonight. How are you?
Greg, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Not a problem.
I'm very well.
Bob, obviously you're into barbecue. You compete, so we'll forego the whole what your background in barbecue is. But I read the press release that you had forwarded to me, kind of detailing the whole competition that took place and how you guys finished as far as the individual categories and then all the money that you totaled. So for listeners that aren't aware of that particular event, which is the Oregon County Fair, give us a little breakdown about that and how the day kind of wore on for you.
Greg, that was a wonderful day. That whole weekend was beautiful. The Oregon State Fair, it's the big fair of the state, so it's a big to do. It was just, we were set up, we were camped next to people that we like a lot. We like them all, but I was interviewed on a radio show prior to the judging. Everything just clicked. It was just a good weekend. I had my wife was with me, partnering up and keeping me on track and watching the schedules and seeing that things were right and making some beautiful boxes. And it was one of those weekends. It just clicked, and when it was all over, it really clicked together.
Now, had you actually ever competed in this particular event before?
I had competed in that before, and I did the 7th place pork button that a year ago, and that was the only place that we'd placed in that, and I think we ended up 23rd out of almost 40 teams last year at the Oregon State Fair.
Now, how many other barbecue competitions had you typically been taking part in?
2007, I probably took part in about 12 or 15 of them. I just couldn't stop. Now, 2008, I was a little slow to start this year. I had some personal obligations that needed to be attended to, and it was just a little harder to make them, so we didn't make as many this year. We did 4 events total this year.
Now, at the Oregon County Fair, you did finish in Grand Champion style fashion. Go ahead and give us the breakdown of how you finished in each category and then what your sum total of prize money was.
Gosh, we did. I still can't hardly believe it. We just shined that weekend. We did a first place in pork ribs. We did a second place in a pork butt and a third place in in brisket. How's that? No, right. I'm sorry, it was in chicken. And we had an MC out there that does a radio show out of the Portland area. He calls himself Mr. Barbecue, and he just did a professional job at it. The way that he did, he put a lot of suspense into it, just made it like it was a big-time event that it was, and we just it was just all done real well and professional. We just really enjoyed that weekend a lot.
And how much money did you take away from that event?
$6,500 when it was all said and done.
And that was just for the 4 meat categories?
That was just for the 4 meat categories. That didn't include any of the extra categories, which they had. You could have turned in a ribeye, which we did. We always participate in the extras. Never do that great in them, but we always participate just for the fun of it. And then they had an appetizer category too. But that was just for the 4 meats. So it was a good event. And you know what? I stumbled a little bit with you there. We did a first in ribs, okay, and we did a second in pork butt, and a third in chicken. And that chicken now, I took Paul Kurt's class a couple years ago, and he'd helped me through his recipe part of it. And we were doing okay with chicken there after his class. But then I saw him again a year later in 2008, or earlier this year, April. And I told him, Paul, we're just not doing that well with the chicken, and that rub and all, but I want to stick with it. And so he gave me a couple pointers to step it up a little bit, and since he had, the chicken's always been showing pretty well.
Now, how long have you been actually competing in barbecue competition?
My first competition was in August of 2006.
Okay.
And I hadn't a clue what I was doing. I had heard Jim Minion talking on one of the podcasts about Pacific Northwest barbecue and an event coming up in town Longview, Washington, or Chehalis, which is south of me, and it was a cooking class, a 1-day class, and also combined with a 2-day contest. So I met up with a friend of mine, and we went on down and took the class. And I'll tell you what, Greg, I knew absolutely nothing about barbecue. I'd cooked it, and I thought I knew what I was doing, and I had friends leave my house with burnt black char all over their teeth from my ribs, but we learned a lot, and I had a great mentor, and that helped. I met up with a fellow, Dan, from Lone Star Barbecue out of Longview, and he mentored us, and I'll tell you what, we did a butt down there at the competition. We were trying to do it on a little Smoky Joe, believe it or not, a little Weber. That's how much I knew, and the lid wouldn't even fit on, and this Dan from Lone Star saw me over there, and he wheeled over a bullet. And I asked him, I said, what is that? and he showed me how to load it up and what to do with it, and then that contest we came in 7th with our pork butt on that bullet of his. So.
How did you go about actually increasing? I mean, you've got a couple of years underneath your belt, but starting out, how did you help increase your learning curve for some of the folks that are, out there just starting out on the competition circuit?
Oh, Greg, I just fell in love with it. This sport, and I just tried to glean everything I could. I started subscribing to the Bowl Sheet and National Barbecue News. I gleaned the podcasts such as this. I listened to people. I talked to them out here, and they tell me things. They aren't telling me so much lately, but they used to tell me a lot. I'd just glean what I could, and then I saw that Ray Lampe was doing a class up here, and I says, well, I'm going to go to that because, I'd heard of him. I knew who he was, and bought his books, and then Paul Kurt was doing a class a little later, and I said, well, wow, this is good. So I gleaned it from them, and I just studied and practiced, and I came home from a few events, more than I like to admit, with my tail between my legs, and said, I've got to step this up if I'm going to stay in this sport, because this isn't where I want to be finishing, and yet just gleaming what's there. There is so much there. The web, the podcast, the Barbecue Central. I mean, I have learned a lot. The round table's been fantastic. I'd almost be embarrassed to tell you how many times I played those over and over.
You're not going to embarrass me.
8 times each. Somewhere in there.
Now, aside from the learning curve, kind of a topic that we've been talking about here over the last many weeks is this whole thing, how judging bias has worked its way, pretty much from the judging table now out into the open, and a lot of competitors are talking about it. Is that something that you've really run across on the West Coast at all, as either far as competitors either talking about it or, actually experiencing it yourself?
We did it again. I'm sorry. Find out what Bob had to say. What a pleasant guest Bob is. He just radiates happy and energy. He's really into barbecue. Talk about some of the classes he was going to, like back in the day. Holy moly, what a great episode. Head over to the bbqcentralshow.com. There is a link in today's show notes. It's going to take you to this complete episode. Go check that out. I found another little tidbit in the show, and I'm probably going to do another show from this show because I found it interesting. Like everything, it's interesting. It's the Barbecue Central Show. It's interesting. You know who I am. I'm out of time. Have a good day.